Hello friends, welcome to Knowhere Geomatics GIS learning channel. Today we are going to learn basics of Web GIS. So to get more updates and the videos about GIS, please do subscribe our YouTube channel Knowhere Geomatics. Thank you friends. So we are discussing about Web GIS. So in that we are looking at now how the GIS system has evolved, and as we have seen that Web GIS is an advanced thing in GIS, like it is the latest advancement. I mean, not much latest, but in latest days we have experienced so many new things that has came up in this internet and mobile GIS or Web GIS. So Web GIS is also called as internet GIS. Okay, so this is the change of GIS platform historically. Like when the first GIS was developed, it was in 1960s. So it was the mainframe computers, okay, and the desktop computer were there. So then we have personal computers in the next stage. The software were on that system, and after desktop GIS we have transformed to the mobile GIS, then internet GIS, as well as in the distributed GIS system. All these are part of the Web GIS only, that mobile GIS, internet GIS, and the distributed GIS. So this is the development of GIS platform throughout the history. Now why we have to go to internet GIS? So it is very flexible information access or exchange. So end users they just need a web browser, so through that you can access the software tools, you can work on particular tool, and we can you can have some results out of it that you can share. So it is the flexible information, it allows you to have the flexible information access or exchange. Then the information sharing and integration. So the information that we have can be easily shown on the internet GIS like this. You can see this is the example, and we can integrate various information together, like whether you have the tabular data, whether you have the shape file, you can join that attribute table to that shape file, and you can just show them like this, and you can show with colors, symbols, labels, etc. So the multiple internet map servers we can access at the same time, like local governments, USGS, EPA, Census Bureau, etc. So what is USGS? Do you know? The United States Geological Survey. Okay. So all these organizations are having their servers, and particularly GIS servers are called as internet map servers. So all these things you can access together through the internet or Web GIS. Then you can have the real-time information update and distribution. So this is also very important one, that if any event is occurring in real time, like say any calamity, like nowadays we are experiencing a calamity throughout the world, that is the war between Russia and Ukraine. So this real-time information you can update through the Web GIS. Then another example, we may have the example of flood situation, other calamities, disasters, or maybe the railway that is running to a particular route can also be mapped. Then airways can be mapped in the real time. The location of these real time flying aircrafts can be mapped through the GIS. So all these things is only possible if you work on the Web GIS. So in this real time information update and distribution, we can gather the data from the client, like policies, firefighters, and then distribute updated data from server sides. These are the control centers. Okay, so this is how the WebGIS can be understood. Now there are three kinds of internet GIS. Uh, these are nothing but the data, that is sharing of the data, then information and knowledge. So three kinds of internet GIS we can have. So data, information and knowledge. If you have data, so it will be relayed online through the WebGIS. So online data warehouse, it can be called as data archive, and the online data clearinghouse, that is metadata. Then information sharing, so it is the web based map display and have the navigation services. And in knowledge, you may have the online GIS models and web based spatial analysis tools. So as I said, in WebGIS we need not to install the software on our desktop, still we can use it if you have the internet connection and web browser. And through this web browser, not only we can visualize the data map, but also we can create any GIS models, that is WebGIS model, or you can also work on a particular layer, the geospatial analysis tools. So when you see the history of internet GIS, it was way back started in 1990s. So online GIS first started in 1994. That is the Xerox Park Map Viewer was developed in USA. Then Grass Links developed by Hughes in 1995. Then the Alexandria Digital Library created in 1994. And the organizations involved into this was OGS, that is OGC, that is the Open GIS Consortium. It was formed in 1994. And then thereafter this WebGIS has been very popular, and the initial tools that we also have used was the Google Map, then Google Earth, etc. Through that also, that is nothing but the best example of WebGIS only. So this was the very initial WebGIS example. So this is the Xerox Park Map Viewer showed with this global map, and you can see always if you have any WebGIS software, it is having a particular web address, web link, that we call it as, or URL simply we call it as. So this is having URL like http :/mapweb.parc.xerox.com/map, and if you go to this URL, you will find this particular world map. So select a point on the map to zoom in by 2. So if you now at that time just some zoom in zoom out activities were possible in this map. So if you just click once in a particular location, it will get zoomed by 2, or select an option below. So there are simple options given here: zoom in, then features, display color, projection, elliptical, rectangular, so many things. Then again, this is the Grass Links interface. This is also having different things compared to the previous one. This is the Alexandria Digital Library. And then the next thing in GIS is the distribution of the data, and it is possible to find out remotely located data, that is data documentation or metadata. It provides the key to successful search. The US FGDC, that is Federal Geographic Data Committee, devised a much emulated standard for geographic data description. With this link you can go through that. So now let us understand how the WebGIS is actually work on. So mostly when you have WebGIS, you must have one server for that. Okay, and that server will use as to store the website, the software, its source data, its analysis files, etc. All these things to work on, they require a server. So in the server side, you can see there was RGS server So earlier it was called as ArcIMS, that is Internet Map Server, and then Web Server. So two servers were there. One is the Internet Map Server, another is Web Server, and the regional database is also there. All these come under the server. So as I said, this is the server client system. Towards the client, it would be the internet interface uh, through various programming languages like Java, applets. Then so that is one of the client. Then second client is IMS viewer, that is Internet Map Server viewer. Then rest of the things can be visualized like this towards the client end. So the network is the computer and the internet is your GIS. The three phases of GIS: Geographic Information System, Science and Services. So GIS services provide a flexible and interactive tool to help users to achieve their goals by browsing, searching and processing, interpreting, analyzing and exchanging geographic information. And these services are user oriented, customizable and dynamic. And the internet and mobile devices are great tool to provide the GIS services. So apart from the desktop laptop, the GIS nowadays is also accessible to the smartphones. Okay. So that is called the mobile GIS. Now what are the advantages to the GIS services? Okay. So this is the advantage. These are the advantages actually to the GIS services, that the users do not need to obtain and install the expensive software. That is one of the greatest advantages of this GIS services through the Web GIS. That you need not to install the expensive software like RGS. It is around 1 lakh to even if you want to buy it without, to your individual purpose, non-commercial purpose, even if it will cost around 1 lakh. So that expensive software you can easily access through the Web GIS. Then only one version of the service software need to exist. It is always the latest version. So if you are using the Web GIS, you will always get the latest version of the software and its tools. All the tools will be there because it will be the latest version of the that particular software. Then the data used in the service can be kept constantly up to date. So this is also important. For example, the traffic of a city like San Diego. So these are the advantage, and you can see the examples. Now what are the challenges with these distributed GIS services? The globalization of the information access or distribution, that how to find out the requested information like matchmaking, that is brokers, between service provider and service requesters. Then decentralization of the database management or update, and then ad hoc technology centered solution. Thank you friends.